When was the last time you looked at something and said perfection? Did you end up naming something you were not satisfied with as imperfect? And why? What about the perfection of imperfection? Can you think of something that has both of them in the same time? Hi, my name is Eitan, and welcome to my second blog post about perfection, imperfection, symmetry, nature, mechanics, and the Japanese tea ceremony. Symmetry is all around us. In mathematics, music, nature, the universe, art and design, you name it. This symmetry is in many cases also associated with perfection. But why? Nature offers us endless examples of symmetry. Take, for example, the trees. If you would ask a child to draw us a tree, it would probably look like a circular shape based on two parallel lines, which are the trunk. There are more than a few types of symmetry: reflection symmetry, rotational symmetry. If we walk around the tree, wherever we stop and look, we will probably see the same thing. However, as symmetrical as they are, trees are made of this more or less random structure of the branches and the leaves. And this is an example of a design which is symmetrical, made of an asymmetrical structure. Much like the trees, animals, and including humans, are symmetrical beings from the outside. However, unlike trees, they show symmetrical symmetry to some degree. Like the trees, many of the inner organs that make the body are actually asymmetrical. Even the brain, that has a more or less symmetrical shape, is divided into many areas which are not symmetrical at all. Even the right and the left sides of the brain are responsible for different tasks.
We are surrounded by symmetry.
It is also very hard to make a mirrored copy of an object in a perfect way. Therefore, maybe the success of making a similar mirrored instance of an object is considered to be perfect or perfection. We are surrounded by symmetry. Therefore, it's possible to assume why we may see symmetry and perfection as one. Symmetry is not ending in nature. It is an essential part of human creativity throughout history. Architecture is a great example of symmetry. No matter where you go, sooner or later you will stumble upon it. One of my favorite architectural style, and not just architectural, is Art Deco. Art Deco became popular more or less 100 years ago. It affected many aspects of life, from architecture to fashion design to vehicle design and art. The Empire State Building and the Chrysler Building in New York are no less than monuments to this style. They embody all the aspects of what Art Deco is, from symmetry to very wide bases and a ziggurat shape, usage of lavish and expensive materials, decorations and ornaments that take their inspiration from antiquity. Art Deco lost its charm as World War II started. This led to a functional style where practicality had a higher priority. No. I'm not going to talk about this right now, but it could be a good idea for another video. Even aircrafts, which are symmetrical by nature, have exceptions. Yet there are more than a few examples of asymmetrical aircrafts where their lack of symmetry is actually derived from technical reasons. The Boomerang, by Burt Rutan, who is known for his eccentric and exceptional designs, is shaped so it balances the engine's power if one of the engine fails during flight. The British Sea Vixen is another example. Although not that radical, it is completely symmetrical in its general shape. However, the cockpit is placed on one side of the nose. Now let's leave aircrafts and skyscrapers alone and go down to earth. Take a deep breath, close your eyes, and relax. No, I'm just kidding. This video is about visual aesthetics, so please keep your eyes open, okay? But yeah, relax. It's good for you. And you know what else would be good for you? A nice cup of tea. Many years ago, in one of the tea gardens in Kyoto, the master asked one of his helpers to prepare the place for the tea ceremony. When the master came back, he took one of the twigs and shook it until a few auburn maple leaves fell on the ground. Now this is perfection, said the master. And there it was, Wabi-Sabi, thought to himself Master Rieger, the father of the Japanese tea ceremony. Wabi-Sabi is the appreciation of beauty in nature that is incomplete, impermanent, and imperfect. The tea ceremony should take place in a balcony or where nature can be observed. According to this philosophy, we should learn to appreciate temporary and imperfect things. For example, the full moon, just a day or two before or after its whole, or when it's hidden behind the clouds. The Japanese Wabi-Sabi pottery making was not looking for symmetrical perfection. On the contrary, stoneware, made according to this philosophy, were deliberately imperfect. For example, potters used to dent freshly made vases or glasses just so they don't end up too perfect. If you're interested in this subject, you could look down on the description of this video where I added a few links to some articles. When was the last time you took a good look at a car? Any car. It's pretty symmetrical, isn't it? Yet, not all cars were born the same. For example, the Citroën 2CV had, at least in the beginning, only one headlight. Apparently, back then they found it satisfactory. The Nissan Cube is another example of a car with a non-symmetrical feature. I personally think it's pretty awesome when car manufacturers add those things, and we don't see enough of that. One of my favorite Fiat is an old Strada from the late 70s. What caught my attention was its two asymmetrical grills on its front end. Now that is such a small gesture, but it has such a huge impact on the shape of the car. The interior design of a car is a little bit different because no matter where you drive a car, the steering wheel will always be on the side. And that means that the operation of the car is inherently asymmetrical. That leads to a situation where symmetrical and asymmetrical design features are implemented in the same time in the same object. Luckily, this is not always the case. And this time it's Ford's turn. Towards the end of the last century, Ford released the Focus, which was the replacement for the aging Escort. I love the bold decision to design a completely asymmetrical dashboard. I personally think it's a masterpiece. And unfortunately, Ford decided to abandon this design in later models. Next time you go out, take a look at the wheels of the cars. Wheels have rotational symmetry. When they are divided into odd segments, it gives the impression of a firmer, more reliable and trustable shape. Even though this is nothing but an illusion. Did you know the first Palm Pilot had its screen a bit offset to the right for technical reasons? When you look at the objects around you, you will realize that most of them are symmetrical. Maybe because of, like cars, it reminds us of faces and therefore make them more familiar. Or maybe because symmetry creates less destruction and therefore gives us the illusion of serenity. Yet, in many cases, this symmetry is derived from practical and functional reasons, like this boombox. Unlike the boombox, the CRT television set is a rather rare example of an asymmetrical design, which is derived by the requirement of placing a single speaker next to a screen. Only after the introduction of stereo broadcast did television sets become symmetrical. Do you have an object which is your favorite because it is symmetrical or asymmetrical? Do you consider it perfect because of that? Share your thoughts in the comments and I will reply so we can keep things symmetrical between us. By the way, you're more than welcome to visit my website at www.Rieger.design. You can find the address in the description. Thank you for watching this video, and until next time.